everybody, it is Cinnamon Cooney, your art Sherpa, and this is the quick, full, straightforward lesson for YouTube of this fabulous orca whale in Kirkjufell with the falls and the Aurora Borealis. I'm going to show you real fast how to paint this step by step, all the instruction you need to accomplish this at home. If you're really fond of our live events, don't worry, those are not gone. Check that iCard, because if you came for the party, we got that. That's right there in the iCard. You can see us ask questions, answer stuff with the community, let the Kraken loose, all of that stuff. Remember, information is in the description below. The finished painting, traceable, everything you need to complete this fabulous work of art. I want you to grab your paint, your brushes, and everything, and come back and meet me at the easel right now. Let's get started. Here's our palette. Today our colors are Cad Yellow Medium. You can get hue and save a lot of money. Phthalo Green, Phthalo Blue. I have Acrylic Glazing Liquid Gloss. This is the one by Golden, and this not only glazes, but slows down the drying time of the paint. Perfect, by the way, for Aurora Borealis. Titanium White. The first thing I'm going to do is take this 2-inch brush. Now, this is a brush by Silver, but honestly, I think you just get a really good brush for your house. If that's what all you had, that would be just totally fine. Get it just a little wet to what's called prime the bristles, but take off the extra water. And we're going to pull some green paint out from the edge here. See how I'm working from the edge? Some blue paint out from the edge. Mixing that green and blue a little bit. Add a smidge of white. And some glazing liquid. And here, just about an inch below halfway, take this right across. Now what's wonderful about this is that this will give you nice big wide brush strokes. Nice big wide brush strokes, which you're really going to like. A little more white, a little more glazing medium. I want the glazing medium to affect the sky because I want it to have those northern light look. I want it to feel like, you know how it seems like it's never fully dark? I definitely wanted to create that effect. I'm dragging my brush back and forth on the flat, and I'm adding more and more of my dark pigment, more and more of my blue and green together in just pure runs to darken the sky as I go up, because I want it to be really dark up at the top. That's what I'm looking to do. Quite a bit of blue on that mix. Pull a little of the medium out because it's not on my brush anymore. Getting that nice mix. Now the thing you want to watch on these brushes is you don't want them to do a whole lot of shedding on your canvas. So that's why wherever you get it, make sure that the bristles are firmly seated in the brush so that you don't have a lot of canvas hairs. If you get one though, you can just pull it off. There's one. Paint right over it. It won't even bother you. But you shouldn't have 20 or 30. Now I'm going to get some just blue paint here for the top to make this quite dark. A little more just blue paint. Pulling it down. Pulling it down. And that's a nice gradation. Oh, see there where I have a hair? This is a brand new brush, so it might give me a couple. But again, you shouldn't see 10 or 20. You should just see a couple. All right, I've got a nice ombre past. It's getting to be too many, but okay. Right past that halfway mark. I'm going to rinse that brush off a little bit. And squeeze out the extra water, because I'm going to need it later. For similar colors. Wasn't that easy? The next part I think is really fun. That's the splatter. And to do splatter, I'm going to show you my splatter brush and my fluid Paint by Golden, but you know what? There's an artist loft version of this, so that doesn't have to be expensive. And I'm going to show you how you can just thin your white paint with water and also get the effect. To demo the technique for just a second, I'm going to put up this black paper. It's a good idea if you've never splattered before, even though splattering is a lot of fun. It's a good idea if you've never splattered before to practice. So the first technique I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the splatter brush. That is in the description below with all the materials and all the other information if you just click the more button. The splatter brush is a good way, and then I'm going to show you the whack way. Those are both good ways. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to dip the edges of the splatter brush, right? And then here's my trick with these. If you haven't used these before, they're really fun, and if you want to do a lot of galaxies or stars or abstract, this is a worthwhile tool. If you're just doing this painting, go ahead and just do the whacking technique I'm going to show you in a minute. But for this, I'm going to get back here, and I'm going to flick the brushes, and I have stars. So it gives me that kind of star effect. I'm going to wipe that off, put this aside. Now the whack is a lot of fun. I have here an old beat up round brush that I love. Right, I'm going to get it wet with clean water. I'm going to get another brush that I can whack it against. I'm going to pull some paint out on that brush. And I'm going to sit back here and tap, 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 tap. See that kind of star effect I get? That gives me another nice kind of star effect. If I didn't have the fluid paint, I would get my brush very wet and pull out my white paint, just my regular white paint, maybe another little dip in the water, and I would do a whack, 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 whack again. You can see those stars are a little bit bigger, and if you need to, you can get back. Practice your whacking. That's really just my best advice. This is one of those joyful, fun, childlike things that you can do in your art practice, and there's a lot of ways to get a good splatter done. So what I want you to do is decide what manner of splatter that you'd like to try and get a scratch piece of paper and go ahead and practice that, because that's going to give you the best result. Another thing I'd like to advise you is if you're very stressed out about the splatter thing, that is cross purposes to why we're even painting. And just so you know, if you have the patience and perseverance to just carefully paint in hundreds of stars by hand, that is okay too. Really anything that gets you a painting that you like and also make sure that your time stays enjoyable. This is a present from my mom. I really like this acrylic splatter brush, so that's what I'm going to use with my fluid paint. So I'm going to do what I did before. I'm going to dip the tips right there in the paint. I'm going to disperse with my squeezing method through the brush. I'm going to stand back and I'm going to put some stars probably on my face and this sky. I feel like my sky needs a few more stars. I'm going to do this again. That was pretty fun. And just in case you need a recap, I'm going to show you the whack whack again. Because who doesn't like whack whack? Whackity whack whack. Sometimes life is very stressful, and having a nice little brush whack can make you feel a lot better. Let's try that again. Uh-oh, look at that. Some of those stars got a little bit too heavy. I'm actually not that worried about that. But if I wanted to paint some of them out, what if I made a mistake during my stars? What could I do? One thing that I could do is use my hairdryer, take a smaller brush, mix up my sky color, my glazing medium, go ahead and paint out the part I wasn't really that fond of. I don't even have to make them disappear completely because this is a starry night. And I want to say right now, because I know a couple of you are going to ask me this a lot. I got acrylic paint all over myself and everything. How can I take it off? Well, after a good fun whack whack, rubbing alcohol, 71 to 91%, will remove acrylic paint. No trouble at all. I'm going to use my glazing medium right here to blend out this repair. Between this and the Aurora Borealis that I'm going to be putting in at the end, anything like this is not that big a deal. And I wanted to show you that it's okay to just totally have something go wrong. You don't ever have to be panicked about it. Let's see if I can do this whack whack again better. Otherwise, we'll be editing out this second mistake. But we'll let you know we made it. Alright, standing back. And this one's going perfectly. Isn't that gorgeous? Now I have a very starry sky. Don't let the little stuff get to you. Drama on your canvas, no drama in your life. I'm going to rinse this out and squeeze the extra water out. I'm going to go ahead and get my hairdryer and dry all my little white spots that I worked so hard for so that I can put in the water. Alright, so now that's dry, I can put in my waterline. And this is going to be a lot of fun for me. I'm going to use artist tape. I get this at the art supply store or Michael's or craft stores, and what it is a low tack tape that just won't pull the paint up from my canvas. I cannot tell you how frustrating it is to put paint down, beautifully tape and burnish a line, and then have it pull up all your hard work. So, you know, on this one I would say definitely try to get the right kind of tape. It will make your experience a lot easier. I'm going to come up just above the messy line. Can you see the messy line on my canvas here? It's just messy. I'm going to try to make this as horizontal as possible. You can even measure it out to be very, very specific. And I'm going to burnish it lightly down with my fingers. I'm going to pick up my brush again that I put in my sky. And I'm going to paint in my first coat of water. Now, this is going to just be a very dark mixture of my green and blue. I'll go ahead and grab my glazing medium. I had someone ask me a question just recently that I thought was a really good one. They said, if you knew you were going to paint out, right, like paint over your sky and your water, why did you paint it in? And if you'll notice, I'm doing very level back and forth, sweeping brush strokes. And that helps it feel like water. If I had my big rock and waterfall here right now, my brush strokes might stop. I'd be trying to avoid that object and it wouldn't have that fluid look that I want. Sometimes the order that we put our objects in can affect the technique of how we put them in. If you run out of paint, go ahead and grab some more. Now, could you do this with a smaller brush, like a number 10 bright? Yeah, you could. And it wouldn't impact you in a negative way at all. I like a slightly wider brush for some of this sometimes because it's giving me this beautiful blended effect. Moving some of that green in there. And even though I'm doing big amounts of paint, I'm still doing good paint management. But I'm trying to keep this water quite dark. Back and forth. Pulling it for me. The little streaks in the green and blue, that's actually ideal and that's something that you want. You just want them to be level. Level can be hard. Being level-headed in life can be hard. Being level-headed in painting can be hard. So don't judge yourself too much. Just try to enjoy what you're doing. Get this all painted and not worry about it. Not have anxiety. Probably started painting to help with anxiety. So no need to give yourself some for no reason at all. Now I'm going to get that smaller brush that I was fond of. This is a number 10 bright. and I'm going to put out a little of my Mars black. And since I'm almost out of green and blue, I might put out a little more of those colors again too. Sometimes painting can be frustrating. If ever you feel yourself getting frustrated, just take a deep breath in and deep breath out and know everybody, even me, and I've been painting a lot of years, can have frustrated days, stuff that's happening in our studio, things that make our work more challenging. Don't let that get to you. I'm taking a small amount of black. This is Mars black, and this can be a very powerful color, so I try not to use too much of it because you can't go back and mix it out. In that I mean, like, once you've mixed it into this little plop of paint, it's really hard to lighten it back up to blue again. So it's just better to do it in small increments. And I'm going to paint this dark color, this black and blue mixture, while I've still got my paint wet and it's blendable right here at this tape line. A lot of people, worry about painting the Aurora Borealis. They want to do it, but it seems hard. Sometimes things in art seem hard. They're actually pretty easy, pretty mellow. See how I'm just working the edge here? It's just on the tip of my brush. That really helps me. It really keeps it easy, working from the outside of my paint. There's the load. And now I'm going to just very carefully blend a little shadow. This waterfall is creating deep dark water. Now, the real location that I based this off of, that I'm not even going to try and say, it does not have an ocean right up to it, but I thought maybe a long time ago it did. Maybe a long time ago it had an ocean. You can see how the glazing medium is really helping my paint stay wet so that I can blend it, and that makes it nice. I'm just going back and forth. I'm using light pressure, very level brush stroke marks. Now this part I don't have to be so worried about because I've got a mount. I've got this like pile of rocks that are coming here, right? I just want to make sure that this water is darker. I'm going to rinse out this brush. And just real quick, I'm going to take a little of my green into my blue. I don't want the blue that has the black in it, so I'm going to try to avoid that. There it is on my brush. I'm going to get some white into that. That's nice. It's very turquoisey. But see, I haven't really mixed it all, and I'm going to get some of my medium. If you didn't have glazing medium, you could just use water. I always just try to tell you what I'm using so that you can get similar results. But there's never one way to do anything in painting. There's always a couple ways. And it's just my goal to help you understand what my way was. So I'm going to keep blending this. I might even get some of just my blue and pull a little of my white and get my glazing medium, or you could get water. What you're trying to do is just blend these colors while they're wet. Into each other. Alright, so I've got my highlight in my water, my dark water line back here. Make sure that that has a nice blend there. And I'm going to enjoy lifting the tape. So this is based on Mount Kirkjufell and the Kirkjufell floss, and I am saying it wrong, I'm sure. So that's okay if somebody's like, no, I live right by that. Though it doesn't look like anybody lives right by that, but maybe they do, and if you do, tell me that you do. Or if you've heard of it, you could tell me that you've heard of it. But when I saw the pictures of this location, I thought to myself, well, that just reminds me of maybe a time long ago when there were fairies and interesting creatures that just wandered around. I'm going to get some blue paint out. I'm going to put it out, squeeze it out, push the tube down. That's how I get it to squeeze off. That's actually quite helpful. And I'm going to put in my little mountains. And my mountains are a little bit of this blue over to my black and some white paint. And this kind of makes almost a Payne's gray. It's quite dark, but it's not black. It's just a dark gray with a slight blue cast. And that's nice. And I'm going to do a nice little distant little mountain line here. So I'm going to come about 1 inch above my water line. I'm going to wander up. I'm not going to make a point. I'm going to softly wander up. Maybe another little wander up, and then I'm going to wander down. And I'm going to paint all that in with that really beautiful blue-gray that I've made. I think that's a really beautiful color. There's not a whole lot of colors in this painting. And that's actually some of why it is really pretty. Sometimes it's nice to not have so many colors in every painting. And I can use my tape line to keep my land line nice and level. If you don't have a steady hand, and I know this is something for you guys, say if you have shaking going on, right? Like you know, I know we have people who paint with us that have Parkinson's or other issues that may cause tremors. Go ahead and dry and retape your waterline. That's all you got to do where you need straight lines if you're shaking. Don't let anything stop you from your creativity. Just paint. Nice deep breaths. And here I am again. I'm painting behind where I know my rock is going to be. And everyone's like, why did I paint that there? I know there's going to be a rock, but look at those nice brushstroke lines and how that's beautifully blended. And how I let this mountain, some of this was more blue, but then some of it got more gray, but that makes it feel a little bit more like a mountain. I'm going to take my brush. I don't want to rinse it off. I'm going to wipe it off a little bit. I'm going to pull some white paint just on the tip here. And I'm going to come along the top very lightly with this lighter color and sort of dash this down. I don't want to be real even. Kind of don't want to be neat. I'm just making some of this lighter mountain space where it's maybe a little lighter. It's not perfect. You could do this with a palette knife. But what if you didn't have a palette knife? You've already had to splatter. So it's a lot. This white. Nice with this white. Nice with this white. Just lightly. This is so lightly. I mean, it's just, what I'm letting happen here is this canvas has a fabric texture to it that's called tooth. And I'm letting that take the paint off my brush. Isn't that interesting how when it does it, it makes it seem like there's some landscape going on. These highlights and lowlights, they make the mountain seem interesting. I'm going to wipe the brush again, but not rinse, and really get some white paint. But because there's a little pigment still on my brush, see, it's not perfectly white. And just put a little snow. I'm just going to pull down a little snow, a little bit at the top of the mountain. Just a little. Maybe a little snow caught here. It's very cold here. These are probably ice fairies that live up here, where this whale is going to come sing to them. That's what I think in my imagination, but I wonder what you think in yours. I don't know. Could be interesting. And I'm going to pull just a little of this white down, kind of at this diagonal. but I don't make it real even. I just pull a little bit. That creates maybe like a little ridge. A little bit here. A little there. Just kiss it. Now wipe my brush again. Notice I'm not doing a lot of rinsing. I'm going to take my black paint just along where my shoreline is. I'm going to darken this up. Just darken that up. Darken those two lines up. This is my landscape. Right here. Very far away. Very far away. Now I'm going to have a lot of fun doing in these rocks. A lot of fun doing in these rocks. And the first rock that I'm going to paint in, I'm going to take just my black paint. And I'm going to paint in the first part of what is Kirkjufell floss. Internet will tell me if I'm wrong. It will tell me if I'm wrong, I'm sure. And I'm going to come, oh gosh, about, that looks like about 3 inches above the mountain here. I'm going to come out a couple, and then I'm going to wander down. Oh, but he's a bumpy rock. I'm going to wander out and pull that down into the water. I'm going to paint that all in with my black paint. Just all down to about this point. Not perfectly even, it's not like a block, but I'm going to pull those brush strokes down. And you're like, oh, but I had a beautiful bit of stars there. Sometimes you got to cover up your stars with your Kirkjufell floss. Sometimes you do. Don't lament, because you're going to put something in better. Here's a secret. If you don't like waterfalls, you don't have to paint it in. Just because I did it doesn't mean you got to do it. I'm just here to guide you. That's why I'm a Sherpa. I'm just here to guide. I'm not here to do the journey for you. But this isn't a demo either. This is me sharing my art with you. And then hopefully you'll share your art with me. I hope so. I hope you'll paint, that's what I hope. I hope you'll paint it. I hope you'll like what you painted. That's what I imagine when I design these, is you liking it. So this is the first part of the rock, and now I've got to wipe my brush. It's the fun part. I'm going to get a little white paint. I might make it a little, not perfectly white, maybe a little bit gray. I'm going to come along the top here. Do kind of what I did on that mountain. I'm going to make it kind of rocky, just at the tip. See how I let it just skip? Sometimes people use palette knives to do this. And you can do that. But I like that I can just use my brush. So let's skip over the top. This is where the light from the northern lights is shining down on Kirkjufell floss. I just love that, Kirkjufell floss. Everyone, let's say that together. What a fun name. Oh, that's easy. You can do that, can't you? You've probably done things a lot harder than this in your life. So you can definitely do that. Give your brush a little wipe. And if you need it, and I know I do, put out a little more black paint. Now, a lot of people write me and they say, is Marsh black different than the other blacks? And what I'm going to say on black, and you can get more information about black at our website, but right here, if you're painting with black, try to just use the same black. I'm going to put a little bit of white on there so it looks a little different than the rock behind it. Maybe grab a little bit of blue. Is that you just want to use the same black throughout your painting because they can have different finishes. I'm coming out here, and then I'm going to wander down. And what I mean by that is sometimes they're shiny. Sometimes they are very brown or transparent. And so whatever you pick, be sure you have it through your whole painting. Now I'm going to pull this kind of down. See how I'm doing that? It's quite dark though. It's not very light. Try not to get this too light. And if you did, just go back and, paint it back in. You can always dry your painting. Always, always. Don't panic. just like I did with those stars. Probably fix anything on a painting. We'll come here again and just skip along this rock. Just the top. Sometimes I just touch with the corner of my brush. Can you see how it's just touching there? Just touch that. I want the highlight to be right there on that edge, but I want it to be dark. But I don't want this to be so light that it looks the same as the waterfall. That's the balancing act I'm working on. What balancing act are you working on? I'm going to make another little rock here. Maybe a little more blue. Quite dark because I want it to look different than what's in front of it. I'm going to come here, come out. I don't know if you can see it. I might do mine a little light so you can see it better, but you don't do yours this light. I'm going to come up a little bit. Make this sort of a round rock. Alright. I think you can see that okay. Sometimes I have to do things in my painting so I can show you. You know, if you're not here with me to ask a question, I gotta guess what question you might want to ask. Okay, just pulling these down. Just pulling it down. That's a nice rock there. And something I want to kind of come along my water's edge here. Just a little black and a lot of blue. All right, this deep dark water. I'm going to come along this rock. I'm going to pull that out a little bit. That dark blue. That dark blue. I want that right there. Yeah, dark blue. That's the shadow. And I just want to make sure that those are blended. And I see that there. If you have to put out more blue, don't be afraid to do that. Press down. That gives you that nice little finish on the tube. Maybe a little green in the color. And there we go. Just make sure that there's a shadow around Kirkjufell floss. It comes out into your water. It says this is deep, deep water. You can wipe your brush, right? Get a little white paint. Let's give that happy rock a little highlight. I think that's what it needs. And it'll feel better. But I don't want it to be white because I still want the fall to seem like a fall, right? I definitely want a fall to seem like a fall. So I've got that there. That's pretty nice. I'm going to rinse that brush out and I'll make it a smaller bright. I like brights because they're nice and square and they give me good edges. This is a number 6 bright. And I'm going to, a little water. It's going to have a little of this blue in it. So it's not perfectly white. You can even pick up some of the stuff around it. And you see this little curve here? I'm going to come straight down. Now here's the trick with waterfalls. You can put your waterfalls anywhere, but they need to fall. So I'm going to pull that straight down to the water line. Pulling it straight down. Might not feel like a fall if it went to an angle. And it's not perfectly white water yet. I'm going to come back with that in a little bit because that'll be my highlight. Let's say here at the top, this is some of it falling right here. See, it comes straight out and then falls straight down. Just be sure you're falling straight down. Paint around that. It goes behind this rock right here. And then maybe comes here. Look at that. Kind of peeking out here. Comes there. And then the dip in the rock is too much. breaks and it falls off. See, falling off right into the water. And right here, I think that there should be some just falling off right into the water. It's real fun to pull a fall once you understand that all you've got to do is just pull that paint straight down. You can even, if you want to, right here, make it seem like there's another little rock by pulling a fall down right here. I can come back and put a little highlight there, like this a little bit even. I want to, and that makes it seem like, oh, there's another little rock here where this fall is coming down. And then a fun thing you can do is you can get a small detail brush. This is a number 6 little filbert, but it's really just a detail brush. It's just a small brush that'll give you a thin line. Sometimes thin lines are not about how steady your hand is, but it's about how tiny your brush is. Now we'll pull this straight down. Straight down. And then he's got a little friend that wanders over here. Isn't that fun? Now the trick is going to be, I'm going to wipe off my brush. I'm going to get some just pure white water. I'm going to come right here. And just lightly, this is just like the rocks, just pull this down barely. Can you see how that's pulling down barely? That's all that is. It's so easy. You can do that. I know you can. I know you can. Alright, here it is on the top. It's rushing down this rock, and then falls. Gravity pulls it into the water. Just look for where gravity is pulling the water in. Water knows that it's got to go. Gravity is pulling the water down. There it is. Right here. Pulling the water down. And then along this edge, pick up some of your not perfect white. And then you're going to kind of like make some churned water along this rock here and say, oh no. And what's nice is if you have the glazing medium, your paint will still be wet and it'll blend. It'll pick up some of the color underneath. That's nice when that happens. Little churning here. That. And a little churning there. Can you feel that rock now in the water? That's so nice. See? How that picks up. Just picks up. And a little, just pure white on top of that. I'm just dabbing the brush up and down. Just right there. Just pressing and pulling. Oh, it's super fun. Super fun. Maybe just another little highlight there. You can even have a little water running out here. See how this little reflection just makes it feel like the water is a little more churning right there. This is a good time to look at your rock and say, you know, are there any shadows I got to put back? I think I got to take a little one there and level out a waterfall if it's gone a little crazy. There. Just look. Just see if you've got something you got to put back. You can always do that. You can always come back with your dark color or your light color. I'm going to come back with a little highlight right there. Yeah, you can always come back. And so if you can, you might as well. Just put those back. All right, that's all you got to do there. That's super fun. Now on the whale, I really like putting the whale in, but I know sometimes drawing is really, really scary for people. And so what I want you to realize is that you don't have to draw. Tracing is okay. It is okay to use that traceable I mentioned. And you don't have to worry about that part at all. I'm going to show you exactly how I draw the whale in. But if you want to trace, that's all right. I know a lot of artists that don't draw. Really good artists that don't draw. Drawing is just one skill in art. It is not the definition of what makes somebody who is an artist or not an artist. Thank goodness, because there's so many ways to be creative. But I'm going to show you how I draw him in. And I'll do it in a much lighter line than you need to do him in it. And I'm doing that so you can see him. When I first designed him, I did them all in black. But for you guys, I'm going to make sure that I do him in a light color that you can see. And I'm going to sketch him in paint. But if you wanted to sketch him in chalk, you could do that too. So it's okay to trace, it's okay to sketch in and chalk. Don't worry about those things. But I think he's real easy to draw if you're like really close to wanting to do that, because he's really just a simple shape. So I'm going to show you the basic shape of him. I'm going to come right here in the water, about midway. Come straight up. I'm going to arc, because he's kind of round. I'm going to take his little nose above the background. It shows how far away it is. I'm going to round that around. I think orcas are really beautiful. And he's got this little, just a little nose, doesn't he? Just a little nose peeking up. See what a nice, easy shape that is? It's just rounding up and rounding down. And you can even round the bottom. That'll help you later when you're trying to decide how whaley he is. Just sketching that in. And since he's black and white, I can sketch him in black or in white, and it works out really well for me. Now, just a little, almost halfway down from his nose, I'm going to peek a little fin out, and it just rounds around. Aren't these shapes like each other? I think they are a little bit. I'm going to come just below the curve. Can you see that right there of his nose? Just below it. And I'm going to put in where his little belly will be white. That's pretty fun. I'm going to get a little more of my white paint. And then back from his nose here is his little white spot. His eye is actually like right here, but they have this little marking. I think that tells other whales important information about each other. And then just above the waterline here, so if this is where I want his fin to end, right here in his back. So, gosh, it's more like 1.5 inches up. I'm going to make a nice fin coming off of his back. And it's going to be a little more pointed, because their fins only flap over if they're kept in captivity. Right? When they live in the wild, they're nice and sturdy and straight. And he lives in the wild. He lives where he was born, with his family. And sometimes he comes and sings when the Northern Lights show. You can tell stories like that in your art. And I like to tell stories like that in my art. Okay. Across from this fin, I know I'm going to want another one, but this one's going to curve down a little bit and almost touch the water and come back. And that's his other little fin. I'm going to paint that in black. And I'm going to paint all of this in black above my white line. I'm going to grab the number 4 bright and my black paint. And I'm going to just really enjoy painting him in black. I'm going to make sure, since I sketched him in white paint, that I get rid of all of that there. And give him nice sleek lines. These little guys have beautiful sleek lines. And they sing beautiful songs. What do you think of whale song? I love whale song. I hope as you're painting this, you're feeling really optimistic about your potential. I think that's the most important thing on art, is to feel very optimistic about your potential. You can do this. No matter what anyone has ever said to you in your life about being able to draw or not, or paint or not, you can do this. I'm just going to paint this all in. Painting this all in. It's really nice for me. I enjoy this. I'm going to come right here, paint his little fin black. He's a very happy, healthy whale. He lives a really happy whale life. And this little fin right here is going to be black too. Yes, it is. Peeking out as he sings. Looks up at the Aurora Borealis. He takes a moment to enjoy his life. Are you taking a moment to enjoy yours? I hope so. Rinse your brush out really well, because you don't want any of the black in it. and get some just white paint and paint his little belly in. And already he's really feeling like a whale, right? He's already feeling like an orca. I get asked to paint whales and all kinds of animals all the time, and I really like to do it. I like to paint all kinds of things, not really just one thing. Many, many moods. I like seasons. I'm just kind of enthusiastic about all of it. Find a lot of reasons to be joyful, happy. It can be hard to be happy, so I work at it, but I'm glad I do. Hope you're doing good. Alright, so I've got him painted in. If his little white spot isn't quite white enough, you can put the paint in there. Now the next little thing I like to do is make a little gray, but a light gray. There's a lot of shades of gray, so let's make a light gray. Come along the top of his fin here with this light gray and pull down just a small amount of highlight, just a little reflection. I'm going to come along his little body, make a little reflection. I don't want it to be bright white, but I want to have a little reflection. Maybe a little on his fin. And along here, along this little joint right there. And maybe a smidge at his nose. I'll get my small detail brush out. Detail brushes really help us. And if you get a small brush, then you don't have to work so hard to make a small line. Right? I think this is a good detail. There's a tiny little point. Doesn't take up a lot of space. Not hard to do a thin line with that. And I'm going to come right along the fin with just this white and create a bright highlight. Doesn't that help him really show up? I think it does. But you do what you think. It's your painting. And that's the important thing. I just hope you're painting. A little reflection right at the nose. Maybe a nice one at this fin. That's pretty cool. I'm liking that. I'm going to get a small bright out. Now I'm going to get a little white and maybe a little blue together. And I'm going to start making some ripples around him. Right around his little body. Maybe even splash it up a little bit. They ripple straight out. One of the things I want to say about your water is try not to get to angles, like to go at a diagonal. If you're ziggy-zagging, make sure that they try to stay a little bit level. That's nice. That shows that he came out of the water and disturbed it. Because he's a big guy. He would disturb it, wouldn't he? He would definitely disturb the water. If you were swimming right next to him and he popped up, you would feel disturbed. Even if he was super friendly. You'd be like, "Ooh, that's a big whale. Ooh, that's a big whale." How magical that would be. You know, some moments in life, you got to show up for. You can't schedule them. And I'm pretty sure a whale peeking out of the ocean next to where you are is one of those unscheduled moments. Are you showing up for enough of those moments in your life? Being present? Alright, so see how it's a nice little reflection. I can pull the dark reflection down, get this black right here, and pull this little shadow down. These deep waters. Fun to do. Back and forth. Keep it level. Now! Who's ready for Aurora Borealis? Oh, everybody loves doing an Aurora Borealis. They're really fun to do. I'm going to pull out a Bright right now. You must be thinking that's my favorite brush in the world. This is number 8. You could do this with a 4 or 6 or a 10. I always tell you what I'm using just so you know. But it doesn't mean it's the only way to accomplish the goal. It just means I'm trying to make sure you know what I've got going on. I'm going to put out a little more glazing medium. Oh, I got it closed. And again, if you don't have glazing medium, you don't have acrylic glazing gloss, don't stress out. Water thins paint. I'm going to start painting in these auroras. And the first part I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out a little yellow. Let me get just a smidge of green. So this is quite bright. See how bright that is? And we'll pull out this glazing medium. I'm going to come here and on the edge of my brush, I'm going to go up, 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 curve down a little bit, and up, 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 up. Before it has any chance to dry, on the edge of my brush, and this is so much fun, I'm going to pull up these little lines. I'm going to blend them up. I'm going to blend them right up. You see that starting to glow? Super fun stuff. Super fun stuff. Make them a little bit longer here. Sometimes those lines are longer. Sometimes they're shorter. Really, there's just not one way an Aurora Borealis is ever going to be. There are like all kinds of ways. Well, it's a lot of pictures. And I've painted them a few times. Got some pretty popular paintings with them in them. I'm going to get a little bit of this white in there. And a little more yellow. And come right there. See it? Oh, see that pop? Patience. Just patience. Slight pressure. And this is the glazing medium. Now, I think glazing medium really helps this effect. I see a lot of artists try to do it without it. And it's just a lot of work. Just being able to blend. And blend is super helpful. Now, right here from the mountain, let's get a little more green in our mix. This one's a little more green. I'm going to get some glazing. Right here, I'm just going to pull up some of this effect. Look at that right along the edge. It's peeking out behind the mountain. It's very, very straight line though, isn't it? It's all pulling straight up. It's not waving. The little line's pulling up. If you need some more green, maybe get a little white to give it some streaks, you can do that. The sky shines through behind it though, doesn't it? Look at that. It's super fun. This is the part I really want you to just be present and enjoy. Maybe a little bit right here too. And it gets a little smaller. Just wondering, there's a little bit of that effect. You know, you can get some blue into this and some white. A little yellow. That's a lot of stuff going on there, but look what we can do right above this. Isn't that beautiful? See, it has a lot of colors. I like photographers that are able to photograph this. It's really nice. Look at that. See, I had some white and blue in there, and isn't that just magical? Just be magical. Don't judge yourself right now here, because go on the internet. How many kinds of Aurora Borealis do you see? Probably see a lot. I'm grabbing some yellow glazing and come over here. Right up from the top of my rock, just pull up. Look at that, isn't that beautiful? That's exciting. Oh, it's so pretty. My pressure's super light. I'm letting the canvas really pull the paint off my brush. I'm letting the glazing medium keep it quite light. I'm going to get a little more white on there. Glaze. See what that does. That's going to be fun. That's nice. It's going to come along here, pulling it up. Get a little shorter these lines. That's the part I got to work at, is making sure those lines don't get kind of to the side here. And sometimes I got to stand to the side so you can see me, and that makes me get a little wonky. If you're not sure, if you can't see it, you know, you can always take a picture with your cell phone. It's weird. Sometimes we can see things in our cell phone when we take a picture that we can't see when we're right there. What an odd thing, huh? All right. And then it's behind this mountain. So this one's far, far away. Bring some of that yellow right there. Layer it over. I really like doing these, and I hope you like doing them. I know it's fun to watch me, but I hope you'll learn to watch you. Isn't that pretty? Now, one of my favorite kinds is this ribbon. I'm going to get a little green and a little blue and some white. Right there, almost a turquoise. I'm going to get some glazing medium. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make kind of like a point. And this is like kind of like almost an S. I'm going to come over. And then I'm going to twist back. And then I'm going to twist there. See that there? Let me see if I need to put that in a little more for you. See that? And then this one is going to come up, twist out, go up. It's almost like a little point, isn't it? And then I'm going to just pull it up, pull it up, pull it up, pull it up, feather it up, feather it up. And it's going to tuck right into this curve here, and then I'm going to, I'm going to switch to this side, to the right-hand side. That's what messes with everybody, because you got to be, as this is coming to the right, you got to be on the left. But as it's coming to the left, you got to be on the right. Whoop. Can you guess which way we got to go? We got to go be on the left because we're going to the right. Isn't that crazy? Just pull that up right off the canvas. Isn't that neat, that ribbon? That's the one that's going to make all your friends on everywhere go, wow, did you do that? And you did. That's my goal for you. Say, yeah, I did. Yeah, I did this. That's fun, isn't it? I'm going to get a little more yellow, a little more glazing medium. On this side. Pull those kind of up, huh? As I get right here, I'm just going to pull it straight up. Come back. Over to this side. Add that yellow. Give those dimensions. Give those colors, because these have colors. Let's get a little of this right here. Maybe a little more blue. We're going to come maybe a little bit right here. Just, do you see that right there? You can see why he's singing, can't you? You see why he's singing? I do. He's just singing to the stars. And they're listening. That's what I think. I think the stars are listening to him. Just come back. You know, you can do these in layers. You just don't have to do everything in life so fast. Sometimes it's nice to just slow down, take a minute, and be present to where you're at. Last little thing. Take a little of this yellow, this glaze. Come here in the ocean. Very lightly. Can you see how lightly I'm doing it? It's real thin. Just dust the top of the water with these colors. Water is like a mirror, and it reflects what's above it. You want to make sure that your water reflects this incredible show that nature has put on. That's what you want to do. You know? Maybe you can't get out of bed. Maybe something's going on in your life and you can't go see this. But now you have. You have in your heart. You've seen it. You've swum with an orca. That's what art is. You can do things maybe that you can't do in life. Maybe it's not possible, but you can do it here. Put some of these colors in. Oh, look at that. It's beautiful. Danced and swam with an orca. The water was sparkling and colors were amazing. See how I'm keeping this just super level and my brush is just barely touching the canvas. It's the tooth of the canvas coming off there. Don't worry about any of these things. You don't have to get this day one. Just be in this moment. You don't have to be perfect. That's not what art's about. Art's about being here. Being in your own self. I really like that. I'm just enjoying this. I'm just putting those colors in that show he's watching in that water. Maybe put some of those up here. Right? Little streaks right there. Always look on your canvas. What feels lonely? Something feels lonely. Go give it love. If you feel lonely, give yourself some love. All right. I hope you have amazed yourself. I hope you're sitting there just looking at your canvas with your jaw on the ground. You are a valuable person. You are important. And I think you're a really creative being, and I really hope to see you with the easel really soon. All right. Bye-bye.